imagine, just for a moment, that your entire universe is exactly 11 feet by 11 feet.
I mean, it's almost impossible to actually picture.
Right. But I want you to really try to visualize that right now, wherever you are listening to this deep dive. Look around you.
Yeah, just take a look at the room you're in.
Picture a perfect square. It's roughly the size of a standard parking space, maybe even a little bit smaller than that.
Definitely smaller than some parking spaces, yeah.
And that's it. That is the absolute limit of your physical reality, like forever.
Wow.
In this universe, you have never felt the wind on your face. You've never, felt rain.
Never seen a real tree.
Exactly. You believe with absolute 100% certainty that trees and dogs and oceans, they only exist as magical colored pixels on a flat television screen.
Because why wouldn't you? That's all you've ever seen.
Right, and your best friends in the entire world, I mean, your only friends besides the one who gave birth to you aren't other kids.
Yeah.
They are a wooden wardrobe, a cheap rug, and a spoon with a melted handle.
It's just a completely suffocating thought experiment for us on the outside, isn't it?
It really is.
But what's truly staggering about this, and what we're really digging into today, is that if you were born into that space, if it was literally all you had ever known, you wouldn't feel suffocated at all.
You'd feel totally normal.
Exactly. You'd feel safe.
So the question isn't just, how do you survive in a space like that? The far more terrifying question we're exploring today is, well, what happens to your mind when you are suddenly forced to leave it?
That's the real core of it.
Yeah. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are incredibly excited to have you with us today as we embark on this deeply psychological mission.
It's going to be an intense one.
For sure. We are going to explore the very boundaries of reality, the unbelievable resilience of the human mind, and the profound and sometimes, frankly, impossible complexities of trauma and motherhood.
And we are anchoring this entire exploration in the phenomenal source material sitting right here on the table between us.
Yes, we've got a lot of it today.
We really do. We have extensive excerpts, notes, and analyses of Emma Donoghue's novel, Room.
Such an incredible piece of work.
Oh, absolutely. Just looking at the physical book itself really sets the stage. Donoghue, who you might actually know as the author of Slammerkin, really created a masterpiece here.
She really did. There's this blurb right on the front cover from Michael Cunningham, the Pulitzer Prize-winning author, that I think perfectly encapsulates the emotional terrain we're about to cross.
What does he say again?
He calls the book potent, darkly beautiful, and revelatory.
Man, darkly beautiful is just the perfect phrase for this.
It really is, because if you picked up this book just looking at the back cover, or, if you've only heard the vague premise, you might be expecting something totally different.
Right, like a standard, fast-paced, true crime thriller.
Exactly. You might think, okay, this is a procedural about a kidnapping, like a Law and Order episode.
Yeah, like it's going to focus on the police work or the sensationalism of the crime.
But it is so much more profound than that. We are not just looking at a physical escape from a garden shed.
No, not at all.
We are looking at this intense, almost philosophical deconstruction of perception. Like, how do we build the reality we live in?
And how does trauma literally rewire our developing brains?
Yes. And what impossible, agonizing choices does a mother have to make to ensure her child's mind doesn't completely shatter in the dark?
To really understand the escape that happens later, and the sheer psychological terror of that escape, we first have to intimately understand the prison itself.
We have to get inside the room.
Exactly. But here is the brilliant, twisted genius of the narrative we're diving into today. To our narrator, this 5-year-old boy named Jack, this space is not a prison.
Not at all?
No. It's the entire cosmos. It is a perfectly ordered, infinite universe.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because getting into Jack's mindset is literally the only way this story makes any sense.
Right, you have to see it through his eyes.
So the source text drops us right into his mind on a very specific day, which is his 5th birthday.
A huge milestone.
Yeah, and he wakes up and he genuinely expects to feel or look physically different.
Because he's 5 now, right?
Exactly. He thinks it's like a magic trick. Like, abracadabra, I'm 5, so my body should have just changed overnight.
Which is such a universal childhood feeling, isn't it? I remember thinking the exact same thing when I turned 5.
Oh, totally. But then he starts asking his mother, whom he simply calls Ma, about his origins.
Right, where he came from.
Yeah. He asks if he was minus numbers when he was up in heaven before he zoomed down through the skylight into her tummy.
It's this beautiful poetic mythology.
It really is. When your entire world has a ceiling and a single pane of glass looking up at the sky, of course that's how you think you arrived. You just zoom down through the glass.
What's fascinating here is how Ma actively participates in and builds this mythology with him.
She really leans into it.
She does. She doesn't correct him with clinical biology. She doesn't talk about reproduction.
Yeah, well, she tells him this story.
Yeah, she tells him that before he arrived, she was just lying there crying until she didn't have any tears left, counting millions of seconds.
Wow.
And then he popped out onto the rug, they cut the cord, and he was free.
I want to focus on that word for a second. Free.
Yeah, it's a huge one.
It feels like such a loaded, almost ironic word for a woman locked in a soundproof shed to use.
Right.
Like, why would she tell a child born in captivity that he is free?
Because to Jack, free doesn't mean liberty of movement across a planet.
Right.
Free means he is untethered from her body. He is an independent entity alive inside the room. She is reframing their reality.
She kind of has to, doesn't she?
Absolutely. She has to. If she allows the concept of captivity to enter his mind, she introduces despair. And despair in a survival situation like that is lethal.
It would completely break him.
Yes. To really grasp how Jack interacts with this environment, we need to look at the sheer scale of it and how they actually measure it.
Oh, I love this detail from the text. So they don't have a tape measure, obviously.
Right.
Of course.
Oh, wait.
So on his birthday, Ma recycles an empty cereal box, specifically the ancient Egyptian pyramid cereal box.
I love how specific that is.
Right. She cuts a strip of cardboard exactly as long as her own foot to make a makeshift ruler.
It's brilliant in its resourcefulness.
Yeah.
It's all they have.
Yeah. And then Jack goes around the room discovering its dimensions. He finds out that the floor is covered in cork tiles, and he uses his little cardboard foot to count them.
One by one.
Exactly. And that's how he figures out the room is exactly an 11 by 11 square.
But notice how his developing mind processes that 11 by 11 square.
How so?
Well, if we were locked in there, we would feel the walls closing in. We would suffer from acute sensory deprivation.
Oh, I'd go out of my mind in a day.
Right. But Jack's brain doesn't perceive this small space as a limitation. It perceives it as a massive universe requiring intense categorization.
Because it's all there is to categorize.
Exactly. Look at the language Donoghue uses. Jack capitalizes everything in his narration.
Oh, right, the proper nouns.
Yeah. It is never just a bed or the wardrobe. It is bed, capital B,
Yeah.
and wardrobe, capital W.
And plant. And rug.
Yes.
And my absolute favorite, melted spoon.
Oh, melted food is great.
It's this spoon that has a white blobby handle because somebody accidentally left it leaning on a pan of boiling pasta.
Right, it melted on the stove.
Yeah, and Jack explicitly says melted spoon is his favorite object because, quote, he's not the same.
I'm really glad you brought that up because that isn't just a cute, quirky detail of a kid being weird.
It's not.
No, it represents a profound psychological mechanism. There is only one of everything in his world. One bed, one wardrobe, one melted spoon.
Right, they don't have multiples of anything.
Exactly. Because they lack plurals, these objects cease to be generic, inanimate items. They become unique entities. They essentially become his peers.
Wait, so you're saying he views the furniture the same way a normal kid views a classmate at preschool?
Precisely. It is a psychological survival mechanism called animism.
Animism. Okay, break that down for us.
In developmental psychology, animism is the belief that objects, places, and creatures all possess a distinct spiritual essence.
Oh, okay. Like when a kid talks to a stuffed animal.
Exactly. Most children engage in it to some degree. But for Jack, it's not just play. It is his ontological reality.
Wow.
He breathes life into the inanimate world around him because a developing human brain strictly requires social interaction to grow. Deprived of other children, his brain turns the physical room itself into a community.
That is just wild. He is literally avoiding sensory deprivation by maximizing the emotional weight of every single object.
He has to stay sane. And that maximization extends to their daily routines, too.
The games they play.
Yeah, they're actively fending off both physical and mental atrophy in a space where, honestly, atrophy is the default state.
The routines they come up with are staggering. Like, they have something called phys ed on track.
Right, their physical education class.
Yeah. This involves Ma flipping their only table upside down onto the bed, which clears just enough floor space to form a tiny black C shape.
Just a few square feet of space.
Exactly. And Jack runs there and backs along this tiny sea, trying to beat his own speed records.
It's incredible. And they play another game called Scream.
Yeah, Scream, where they take the metal lids of their cooking pans, crash them together like cymbals, and just scream at the absolute top of their lungs until Ma's voice goes completely hoarse.
It's intense.
When I first read that, I was like, why? Why would you encourage a kid to scream in a dungeon? Won't that just make them panic more?
It seems counterintuitive, right?
Totally. But then it hit me, it's about taking up space, isn't it?
It is entirely about taking up space, both acoustically and emotionally. It's a pressure valve.
That makes so much sense.
In an 11 by 11 box, your physical movements are constantly restricted. Your voice is the only thing that can stretch out and push against the physical boundaries of your confinement.
Wow.
They are reminding their own nervous systems that they exist, that they have volume, that they have power.
And they also do these incredible crafts with their trash to stay stimulated.
The trash crafts are amazing.
They build something called Labyrinth out of empty toilet paper rolls that they tape together into these twisting tunnels.
A whole maze.
Yeah, and they send a bouncy ball, a peanut, and a broken blue crayon to chase each other through it. And then they make Egg Snake.
Oh, egg snake.
It's this massive chain of blown-out eggshells that they keep hidden under the bed to keep them safe. Every single piece of garbage is repurposed into their mythology.
Which brings us to perhaps the most vital survival mechanism Ma has constructed for Jack.
Okay, what's that?
The boundary between what is real and what is TV.
Ooh, okay, yes, here's where it gets really interesting. Because Jack's worldview here is completely mind-bending.
It really is.
So Jack believes that real consists only of things that are physically inside a room.
Right. If you can't touch it, it's not real.
Exactly. Everything else in the entire universe, oceans, dogs, trees, other boys, Dora the Explorer, SpongeBob SquarePants, the news anchors, all of it is just TV.
He believes they are made of magical colors and exist exclusively inside the television set.
It's a flawless internal logic, though. I mean, think about it from his perspective.
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
If you have never, in your entire 5 years of existence, touched a dog or felt the rough bark of a tree or seen another human being besides your mother, why would you possibly believe they exist out in the void beyond your walls?
You wouldn't.
It reminds me instantly of Plato's cave. You know the allegory, right?
Oh, absolutely. The prisoners facing the wall.
Yeah, where these prisoners are chained in a cave facing a blank wall all their lives. They watch shadows projected on the wall from objects passing in front of a fire behind them.
Right.
And to the prisoners, those shadows are reality. They are the physical objects.
It's an excellent comparison, but there's a crucial, really agonizing twist here.
What's the twist?
In Plato's cave, the prisoners don't know the shadows are illusions, right? They think the shadows are the actual physical objects.
True.
Jack, however, knows the TV images aren't physical. Ma has explicitly taught him that they are only pictures.
Oh, wow, you're right.
He even asks her at one point if the people on TV are floating around in outer space, outside the walls of room.
And she tells him no, they are just pictures.
Right.
But why? Why wouldn't she just tell him the truth? I mean, why not tell him there's a real world out there?
This raises such an important question about trauma and parenting in extreme situations.
Okay, lay it on me.
She lies to him to protect him from the agonizing, soul-crushing truth of their captivity.
To protect him?
Yes. If he knows there is a vast, beautiful world of playgrounds and oceans just beyond that locked door, he will long for it.
Her want to go there.
He will suffer the incredible pain of missing a world he can't have. By convincing him that room is the only tangible reality, she eliminates his longing.
Oh, that is so heartbreaking.
She makes his prison feel complete.
But this careful illusion she has built, this safe little bubble, it has some very dark, very terrifying edges.
Because it's not completely sealed.
No, because this perfectly constructed 11 by 11 universe isn't entirely sealed. Occasionally, a monster steps inside.
Old Nick.
Old Nick. That's the name Jack has given their captor, based on a cartoon character he saw.
Right, a TV character.
Old Nick is this ominous, almost mythical presence in the text. We learn early on that Jack is strictly required to hide in the wardrobe at 9:00 p.m. on certain nights.
Whenever they hear the security door go beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, Jack has to go into this dark, wooden box, squeeze his eyes shut tight, and wrap himself in a fleecy blanket.
The psychological toll this forced disappearance takes on a 5-year-old child is almost incomprehensible.
I can't even imagine.
He is locked in a dark box. He can hear the creaking of the bed outside.
Uh,
He knows this massive, terrifying man is out there with his mother.
and the way Jack copes with that terror is just heartbreaking.
What does he do?
The text describes how, while he's hiding in the dark, he counts his teeth.
Wow.
He uses his tongue to count from right to left on his top jaw,
Right.
then left to right on the bottom jaw. 20 teeth.
He just counts them.
Over and over and over again while the bed creaks.
It is a profound grounding technique.
Really? Like a clinical thing.
Yes, absolutely. In the field of trauma psychology, when a person is experiencing extreme dissociation or panic, they are taught to focus on tangible, physical sensations to anchor themselves to the present moment.
Like holding ice or counting things.
Exactly. Jack has instinctively taught himself this at 5 years old. When he is commanded to physically disappear into a wardrobe, he counts his teeth to assure his own brain that he still physically exists.
That is chilling. Just absolutely chilling.
It really is.
But the trauma in Rum isn't just localized to Jack hiding in the dark. It is written all over Ma's physical and mental state, too.
The narrative definitely doesn't shy away from her deterioration.
Not at all. The text details how her teeth are quite literally rotting out of her head because she went through a long, dark period where she just stopped caring enough to brush them.
Right, the depression.
At one point, she actually loses a tooth right in front of Jack.
The physical decay is a direct mirror of the psychological decay. You have to remember, she's been in there for 7 years.
7 years. And she's relying heavily on what Jack calls killers.
Painkillers.
Yeah, old Nick brings them. She takes exactly 2 of them at night.
Just 2.
To Jack, they are just medicine for a bad tooth. But to us, the reader, it is painfully obvious she is taking them to numb the physical and profound emotional pain of her daily existence.
And even the painkillers aren't enough to stave off the darkest moments.
No, they aren't.
The text introduces us to what Jack calls the gone days.
Yeah, these days are terrifying to read about. Jack wakes up and Ma is just gone.
Not physically gone.
Right, not physically, but mentally vacant. She becomes essentially catatonic. She won't wake up. She just lies in bed all day, staring completely blankly at the wall.
These are episodes of profound, paralyzing, clinical depression.
It's so sad.
Her psychological resources, the immense energy it takes to maintain the mythology, to play the games, to be Ma, it all just runs dry.
She just can't do it.
She completely dissociates from the horror of her reality.
And what's so devastating is how Jack handles it.
Because he's so young.
He's 5 years old. He doesn't judge her. He doesn't throw a tantrum because she won't play with him.
He just adapts.
He dismisses her. He quietly assumes the role of her tiny caretaker. He navigates his universe completely alone on those days.
Eating cold food.
Yeah, he eats cold baked beans straight from the tin because he can't use the stove safely. He waters the plant. He reads his 5 books over and over again.
Keeping the routine alive.
And then he just sits on the floor, resting his small hand on the bump of her foot under the duvet.
Just to feel connected to her.
Just to feel physically connected to her while she's gone.
It illustrates how tightly, inextricably intertwined their survival is.
Yeah.
He is her anchor to sanity, and she is his entire world.
They are everything to each other.
But what we have to understand is that as bleak and terrifying as this existence is to us looking in, for Jack, it is stable.
Stable.
Yes. It is a predictable equilibrium. He knows the rules.
Right, until it isn't stable anymore.
Exactly.
The transition from this strange, dark stability into absolute chaos doesn't happen because Ma suddenly decides, it's time to leave.
No, she would have stayed forever to keep him safe.
It happens because of external physical pressures. The environment suddenly becomes unsurvivable.
Precisely. The illusion of room as a perfect self-contained universe is shattered by a sequence of very real, very dangerous events.
And it all starts with a mouse.
Just a mouse.
Just a tiny regular mouse. It squeezes its way into a room. Now, for Jack, this is the most exciting thing that has ever happened in his life.
It's a real animal.
Yes, it's not TV. It's right there in his space.
Yeah.
But Ma's reaction is the exact opposite.
She freaks out.
She completely panics. She grabs a heavy pop-up book and throws it at the mouse, trying to kill it.
Which traumatizes Jack.
Totally. He screams at her, "You made him gone!" He is furious that she would attack a new friend.
Right.
I remember reading that and thinking, why is she overreacting so wildly to one little mouse?
Because she knows the brutal arithmetic of their environment.
What do you mean by that?
If there is one mouse, there is a nest. If there is a nest, there will be 10 mice next week.
Oh, God.
They live in an 11 by 11 box with limited food, no sanitation, and no access to medicine. Mice will eat their rations.
And bring disease.
Exactly. Mice will bring disease. A single infection in that room could be a death sentence for Jack. Her panic is entirely rational.
Wow, okay. That makes complete sense when you put it that way.
And this incident with the mouse initiates a terrifying cascade of conflicts with old Nick.
Right. Because maybe he gets angry about the noise they made chasing the mouse.
Or maybe he's facing pressures on the outside we don't know about yet.
Or maybe he just wants to reassert his total dominance over them, whatever the trigger is. His response is absolutely brutal. He cuts their power.
The heat goes off, the light goes off.
They are plunged into freezing, absolute darkness.
Just awful.
The text describes them having to sleep huddled tightly together under the duvet just to prevent hypothermia.
Because it's winter.
Yeah. And the stove doesn't work without power, so they are reduced to eating raw, slimy vegetables in the pitch black.
It's during this freezing, terrifying period that a massive shift happens in mouse psychology.
It has to, doesn't it?
It absolutely has to. The power cut shatters the illusion she has spent 5 years building.
The bubble bursts.
Old Nick has just demonstrated unequivocally
Yeah.
that he holds the power of life and death over them, and he will use it at a whim.
He'll just freeze them.
Right. The room is no longer a magical, safe cosmos. It is a tomb. She realizes she can no longer protect Jack by keeping him ignorant.
She has to change tactics.
She has to make a drastic, agonizing pivot.
She has to tell him the truth.
Yes.
Which leads to what I think is one of the most painful conversations in modern literature, the confession.
It is incredibly difficult to read,
Ma sits Jack down and just starts dismantling his universe piece by piece.
ripping it all down.
She tells him that she wasn't always just Ma. She was a university student. She was 19 years old.
Just a kid herself, really.
She was walking home one day, and a man asked for her help with a sick dog.
It was a trick.
It was a trick. The man was Old Nick. He stole her.
Yeah, that's the word she uses. Stole.
She explains to her 5-year-old son that the magical universe of Room is actually just a soundproofed garden shed in some guy's backyard, and she has been locked inside it for 7 long years.
And what's crucial here is how Jack reacts.
Right, because he doesn't just nod and say, okay, that makes sense.
He doesn't just accept it. He violently, vehemently rejects this new reality.
He flat out refuses to believe her. He yells at her.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Totally. He says, you're just trying to trick me and you better stop right this minute. He accuses his own mother of lying to him.
Think about the cognitive dissonance he's experiencing right there.
It must be mind-breaking.
You are asking a child to suddenly comprehend that his entire reality is just a fraction of a speck in a vast, terrifying universe he cannot see.
And to make matters worse, she reveals a secret that is staggering. She tells Jack about the first baby.
Yes, the sibling.
She tells Jack that before he was born, she had another baby, a little girl.
Right.
She had to give birth completely alone in the shed. She tells him the baby came out blue, with the umbilical cord wrapped tightly around her neck.
Just horrifying.
And Old Nick didn't help. He just stood there and watched. The baby died, and Old Nick took her tiny body and buried it somewhere out in the yard.
It is a devastating truth dump.
So what does this all mean? Like, is Ma being unnecessarily cruel here? Why would she destroy his sanctuary and tell him about a dead sister?
It feels wrong, doesn't it?
It literally feels like ripping a child out of the Matrix. You are unplugging him from a simulated reality that he loves, where he feels safe, and you are forcing him to wake up in a cold, brutal, terrifying real world where monsters bury babies in the yard.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of parental protection, we see the impossible paradox she is trapped in.
Okay, unpack the paradox.
For 5 years, she lied to protect his sanity.
Right.
She built a mythology that allowed his brain to develop in a dungeon. But now, the rules of survival have fundamentally changed.
Because of the power cut.
Exactly. The threat is no longer just psychological. It is imminent and physical.
They might die.
They will die. She must destroy his worldview to physically save his life, even if the truth shatters his heart.
Jack's protest during this is just brilliant, by the way. He tells her, what I'm doing is the opposite of lying. It's unlying.
Unlying, I love that concept.
It's perfect. He is frantically trying to shove the genie back into the bottle.
He wants to undo it.
He wants to unlie the truth, to pack the vast, terrifying universe back into his safe, predictable 11 by 11 box.
Because the truth means danger. And Ma confirms exactly how much danger they are in.
She does.
She explains to Jack that the power cut wasn't just a punishment. Old Nick has lost his job.
Oh, right.
He is facing foreclosure on his house by the bank.
Which means inspectors, real estate agents, or bank officials will eventually come to the property.
Exactly. They will inspect the backyard, and Ma tells Jack the chilling reality. If the bank takes the house, Old Nick will never let anyone discover the shed.
He'll destroy the evidence.
He will kill them and bury them in the yard before he lets himself be caught.
Good.
The clock is ticking. The equilibrium is permanently broken. They cannot wait for a magical rescue. They have to execute an escape.
They call it the Great Escape. But when you look at the actual mechanics of what they have to do, it highlights just how utterly desperate their situation is.
They have nothing.
Nothing. Ma doesn't have a shovel to dig a tunnel. She doesn't have a weapon to overpower Old Nick. The only tool, the only asset she has in the entire world is her 5-year-old son.
Which brings a crushing moral weight to her plan.
Right. Let's talk about Plan A.
Plan A is her first attempt, and it relies on deception. She decides Jack has to pretend to be violently ill.
Yeah, she takes a washcloth, gets it as hot as she can, and holds it against Jack's forehead to make him feel like he has a raging fever.
A physical trick.
She tells him to act completely limp and lethargic. When Old Nick comes in, she puts on this desperate performance, begging him to take Jack to an emergency room.
Hoping he'll just drop the kid off.
Her entire hope is that Old Nick will drop Jack off at a hospital and Jack can just scream, "Help!" to the first doctor he sees.
But Plan A fails miserably.
Completely fails.
Old Nick is far too paranoid. He looks at the boy, refuses to take him to a hospital, and promises to bring some antibiotics the next day instead.
And when the heavy door clicks shut and the deadbolts lock, Ma just collapses.
She realizes the truth about Old Nick's boundaries.
She realizes in that moment that Old Nick will literally let her child die of a fever rather than risk his own exposure. He views them as disposable property.
And that devastating realization leaves only Plan B.
Plan B.
The Old Nick won't take a sick child out of him.
He'll have to take a dead one.
Plan B is one of the most chilling, agonizing sequences I have ever encountered in literature.
It is so intense.
Jack has to pretend to be dead.
The rehearsal for this plan is excruciating to read. Jack is 5. He is terrified of the concept of death.
Of course he is.
He starts crying, talking about how the worms will crawl in and out of him if he's buried.
Oh, Mac.
But Ma can't coddle him. She forces him to practice. She takes rug, her favorite red, brown, and black rug from the floor, and she rolls Jack up tightly inside it.
A makeshift body bag.
Exactly. And then she makes him memorize a 9-step sequence.
It is a terrifying mantra for survival. 9 incredibly complex, high-stakes actions that a 5-year-old boy has to execute flawlessly,
In total darkness.
while being handled by the monster who kidnapped his mother.
Let's actually walk through these 9 steps because the burden placed on this kid's shoulders is just unimaginable. Step 1, dead.
Dead. This means when Old Nick comes into the room, Jack must maintain complete biological suppression.
He cannot flinch.
He cannot cough, he cannot breathe noticeably, he must be a corpse.
Step 2, truck.
He will feel himself being lifted, carried out into the freezing air, and thrown into the metal bed of Old Nick's pickup truck.
And he must endure the terror of this motion without making a single sound.
Right.
Step 3, wriggle out.
Once the truck is moving, and the engine is loud enough to cover the sound, Jack has to fight against the tight confines of the rolled-up rug and physically force his way out.
Step 4, jump.
As soon as he feels the truck slow down, maybe at a stop sign or a red light, he has to leap from a moving vehicle onto the asphalt.
At 5 years old.
At 5 years old,
Step 5, run.
when as fast as his legs can carry him away from the truck.
Step 6,
Somebody.
find a stranger, a pedestrian, anyone who isn't Old Nick.
Step 7, note.
Reach into his underwear and hand the stranger the desperate, crumpled note Ma has written.
Step 8, police.
Wait for the authorities to arrive.
And finally, step 9, blowtorch.
Tell the police they need a blue torch to cut through the reinforced steel door of the shed to save his mother before Old Nick returns to kill her.
9 steps. Just saying them out loud makes my heart race.
It's an insane amount of pressure. Imagine being the mother forcing your child to memorize this. During the rehearsal, she rolls him up so tightly in that dusty rug that he has a full-blown panic attack.
He's claustrophobic.
He's screaming to be let out. He's crying that it's too dark.
But what does Ma do?
She doesn't stop.
She doesn't stop.
Hmm.
She can't. She forces him to do it again and again and again. She teaches him how to blindly feel for the edge of the rug from the inside and peel it back like a banana.
Wow.
She drills those 9 steps into his young brain until the sequence is absolute muscle memory.
Then comes the actual execution.
The climax.
The tension is unbearable. Old Nick arrives. Ma puts on an Oscar-worthy hysterical performance of grief.
He has to sell it.
She wails that Jack's fever spiked, that he stopped breathing, that he died. Old Nick is furious, of course, complaining about the inconvenience.
But he eventually takes the body wrapped in the rug.
I want you to imagine the sensory experience for Jack in that moment.
It's so visceral.
He is trapped inside a dark, itchy, dusty cylinder. He is trying desperately not to breathe in the dust and sneeze.
One sneeze, and he's dead.
He feels the sudden, terrifying motion of being lifted by the monster. He feels the brutal, biting cold of the outside air hitting him for the very first time in his life.
First time he's felt weather.
Yeah. And then he is tossed into the hard metal bed of the pickup truck.
And he nearly fails.
It does.
This isn't a Hollywood movie where everything goes perfectly according to plan.
No. When the truck engine roars to life and starts moving, Jack tries to execute step 3. Wriggle out. But he can't.
He's stuck.
The rug feels infinitely tighter than it did during their practice sessions. He is completely stuck.
Panic completely overtakes him.
He is crying silently in the dark. He truly believes he is going to fail, that old Nick is going to drive him to the woods and bury him deep in the dirt with the worms.
It's his worst nightmare.
But then sheer primal survival instinct kicks in.
He fights.
He fights against the heavy fabric. He pushes, he twists, and finally he wriggles out. The text describes him emerging into the back of the open truck like a butterfly tearing its way out of a cocoon.
And that emergence is immediately met with a massive wave of sensory overload.
Yes. Let's talk about the sensory overload, because this is where Donoghue's writing truly shines.
It's brilliantly done.
Jack is looking at the real world for the absolute first time. He looks up, and the sky isn't a tiny square framed by a skylight.
It's huge.
It's a vast, terrifying, endless dome. The colors are blinding. The wind is deafening.
He is a biological organism encountering a radically new environment, and his brain simply cannot process the data rate.
It's too much information.
Way too much.
He feels the motion of the truck slowing down. He remembers step 4, jump.
And he does it.
He hurls his tiny body over the side of the truck and hits the hard asphalt.
Notice how his first physical encounters with this alien planet of outside are entirely tactile and entirely painful.
Right. He hits the ground and scrapes his knee. He sees blood.
Real blood.
It's the first time he has ever seen his own blood, other than a tiny scratch from a mosquito bite.
And then a bee stings him.
A bee. He has no concept of what a bee is, just that the air suddenly caused him sharp, piercing pain.
And then comes a dog.
Yeah, a man is walking nearby with a dog named Raja. The dog is excited, runs up, jumps on Jack, and nips his finger.
Which is terrifying if you don't know what a dog is.
Jack is absolutely frozen in terror. He is completely overwhelmed. The noise, the pain, the sheer volume of the world.
But the noise alerts old Nick.
Yeah, the truck has stopped. Old Nick gets out and runs back to grab him.
The scariest part.
He tries to drag Jack away, telling the stranger with the dog that his son was just having a tantrum.
But the man with the dog senses something is wrong and intervenes.
Thank God. And Jack, through his sheer terror, remembers the next step. Note.
He reaches for the note.
He reaches into his underwear. Now he's been so terrified that he has actually accidentally peed on himself, so the note is completely soaked.
But he still has it.
He pulls out this crumpled, wet piece of paper and waves it at the stranger.
And the stranger immediately pulls out a cell phone, a magical device Jack has never seen before, and calls the police.
Old Nick panics, drops Jack, runs back to his truck, and flees the scene.
Runs away.
Jack is safe. But the arrival of the police, specifically an officer named Officer O, highlights a massive, deeply fascinating communication barrier.
This is where we see the severe limitations of Jack's isolated linguistic development.
Officer O is trying to be gentle. She asks him basic, standard procedure questions.
What's your name?
Right.
Where do you live? Where's your mother?
Right. Jack tries his absolute best to explain, but his vocabulary is entirely unequipped to describe his reality to someone from the outside.
He tells the officer he lives in a room.
Because to him, room is a proper noun.
Yeah.
It is a specific geographical location, like saying, I live in Paris.
Exactly. So the police ask, okay, where is room? And Jack answers truthfully based on his knowledge, not on any map.
They ask him what is outside of room, and he says outside.
The police are utterly baffled.
At one point, trying to explain how desperately his mother is crying, Jack references Alice in Wonderland crying a pool of tears.
The police think they are dealing with a child from a bizarre cult, or perhaps a severe domestic dispute.
Right.
They have absolutely no framework for a child who conceptualizes room as an entire dimension.
But through sheer persistence and incredible detective work, they manage to piece together the clues.
They finally get it.
They take Ma's frantic note, combine it with Jack's fractured, confusing descriptions of a skylight and a shed, and they cross-reference property records until they locate the house.
They burst through the door and rescue Ma.
It is a miraculous, fist-pumping triumph. The tension breaks. The villain is thwarted.
But here is the brutal, masterful irony of Donoghue's story.
What's that?
This rescue, this incredible escape, it is only the midpoint of the novel.
Oh, yeah. I remember realizing that and thinking, wait, there's half a book left. What else is there to tell?
What's left to tell is the psychological fallout.
The aftermath.
Jack and Ma have escaped the physical confines of the vinyl-coated shed. But they quickly, painfully discover that navigating the limitless, chaotic expanse of outside is a vastly different and in some ways much more insidious kind of psychological prison.
They are immediately plunged from complete isolation into intense institutionalization.
Yep.
They are taken to the Cumberland Clinic, a specialized psychiatric and medical facility, and the sensory assault on Jack is absolutely relentless.
We have to remember his biology.
Right.
Because he has lived in a sterile, enclosed environment for 5 years, encountering only the bacteria from one other human being. His immune system is virtually non-existent.
So the doctors make him wear a surgical mask to protect him from the world's germs, which he absolutely hates.
It's hot and restricting.
But it's not just the medical stuff, it's the everyday physical reality that completely baffles him.
He doesn't know how anything works.
He doesn't know how to walk down a flight of stairs. Why would he? He's never seen a stair.
So he has to navigate them on his bottom, bumping down one step at a time.
He is utterly bewildered by the concept of window blinds.
Blinds.
Yeah. He sees them and realizes, with shock, that they exist to stop people from seeing in.
The concept of privacy from strangers is entirely alien to him.
And the social rules. He doesn't understand the concept of manners. He doesn't know why he has to say please or thank you to the nurses.
Because in room, there are only 2 people.
Exactly. And they just shared everything automatically. There was no concept of ownership or polite requests.
He is suffering from acute cultural, social, and spatial disorientation. I really want to highlight the spatial aspect.
Go for it.
In room, Jack was the absolute master of his domain. He knew every scratch on the table. He knew the exact distance from the bed to the wardrobe.
He had it perfectly mapped.
Outside, he's constantly bumping into things. He trips over his own feet.
There's a scene where Dr. Clay, the psychiatrist working with them, explains why this is happening.
It's a medical issue.
Yeah, he says that because Jack has lived his entire life in a space where the furthest object was never more than 11 feet away, his eyes have literally not developed the physical ability to gauge distance properly.
He lacks depth perception.
His physical development has been physically stunted by his environment.
It's a perfect encapsulation of his struggle.
I don't get it, though.
What don't you get?
Why is he struggling so much now? Inside room, despite the horror of it, he was completely functional. He was creative. He was adaptable.
Yeah.
Why is he completely falling apart now that he's in a safe, caring hospital environment?
Think about the physics of pressure.
Pressure, like atmospheric pressure.
Exactly. Have you ever seen what happens to a deep-sea fish when it gets pulled up to the surface in a fishing net?
Oh, it's like a deep-sea fish. That makes total sense.
Down in the Mariana Trench, the fish is perfectly adapted to survive under thousands of pounds of crushing pressure.
It's normal down there.
But if you bring that fish up to the sunny, safe surface, the lack of pressure causes it to expand and rupture. The fish isn't broken.
The environment is just completely wrong for the way it evolved.
That is a phenomenal analogy. Inside room, Jack was the deep-sea fish. His behaviors, his animism, his lack of boundaries, they were highly adaptive survival traits for that high-pressure environment.
But outside, in the safe world, those exact same traits make him appear alien and dysfunctional.
And the family dynamics they step into only exacerbate this feeling of alienation.
Ma is finally reunited with her family. We meet her mother, grandma, her stepfather, Stepa, and her brother, Uncle Paul.
But there is a massive dark shadow hanging over this entire reunion.
Jack's paternity.
Yes.
When Ma's biological father, Grandpa, comes to the clinic, it is one of the most devastating, hard-to-read scenes in the entire book.
It's awful.
Grandpa sits in the hospital room physically sweating. He refuses to even look at Jack.
He won't make eye contact with his own grandson.
He eventually tells Ma, I can't be in the same room. It makes me shudder.
It is a horrific, visceral reaction.
Ma is absolutely furious, as any mother would be. She roars at him, he's a boy, he's 5 years old.
But Grandpa is fundamentally incapable of separating the child from the crime.
Right.
When he looks at Jack's face, he doesn't see a 5-year-old boy. He only sees old Nick.
He only sees the living, breathing product of his daughter's daily torment and rape.
It is a brutal secondary rejection. Jack has just escaped a monster, only to be looked at like a monster by his own blood relative.
And Jack doesn't fully understand the adult nuances of the conversation, right?
No, but children are incredibly perceptive to energy. He feels the profound hostility and disgust radiating from this man.
And this incredible lack of empathy, this desire to judge and categorize their trauma, extends far beyond the family.
It really does.
It is magnified to a grotesque societal degree by the media.
The media circus surrounding their escape is a profound commentary on how our culture consumes true crime.
To pay for their independent living and to cover their massive medical and psychiatric bills, Ma's lawyer advises her to agree to one exclusive paid television interview.
A big primetime special.
She sits down with a journalist the text describes as the puffy-haired woman.
Right.
The lawyer establishes strict ground rules beforehand, most importantly, that Jack is not to be filmed. But the interview itself is a sickening masterclass in journalistic cruelty masked as empathy.
The puffy-haired woman is not interested in understanding their survival.
No.
She's interested in mining their trauma for shock value and ratings.
She asks the most invasive questions imaginable. She asks Ma if giving birth completely alone on a rug in a shed was the hardest thing she ever did.
And Ma, with incredible dignity, replies, "The best thing. I was alive again."
She's saying Jack saved her life, but the interviewer won't let her have that triumph.
No, the interviewer pushes deeper, looking for a wound to exploit.
She actually asks Ma if she ever considered asking her captor to take Jack away.
Such an awful question.
She suggests that Ma should have begged old Nick to drop Jack at a hospital or an orphanage so he could have a normal, happy childhood and be free.
It is an incredibly vile, victim-blaming question disguised as a philosophical inquiry.
She is essentially asking, on national television, why were you so incredibly selfish as to keep your child in a dungeon with you instead of giving him away?
It is a staggering lack of understanding of the psychology of captivity.
Ma's defense is fierce. She fires back, pointing out the hypocrisy of the outside world.
How so?
She tells the interviewer that the world is full of children locked in different socially acceptable types of prisons, sweatshops, abusive homes, underfunded orphanages.
She states unequivocally that Jack was her salvation, that they saved each other.
But as a reader, you can physically see the question absolutely shatter her confidence.
Because the interviewer managed to target a mother's deepest, most primal insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
Did I do the right thing for my child?
Did I hurt him by keeping him?
Exactly. In Room, Ma's soul-burning obsessive focus was keeping Jack alive and keeping his mind safe. She had a singular, undeniable, minute-by-minute purpose.
Oh, now.
If we connect this to the broader clinical picture of trauma recovery, what happens next is a very common, very dangerous phenomenon.
Oh, it is.
When a human being is in an immediate, prolonged crisis, adrenaline and sheer survival instinct carry them through. Their brain suppresses the emotional processing of the trauma because all energy must be directed towards staying alive.
They just push through it.
But when they are finally safe, when the immediate physical threat is removed and the adrenaline recedes, the delayed trauma hits them with full force.
And it hits Ma like a freight train, stripped of the daily, grinding imperative to just survive the next hour. The crushing weight of everything she has endured collapses on her.
All of it at once.
The guilt planted by the interviewer, the judgment of her father, the media spectacle, and the sheer overwhelming exhaustion of having to be a normal person again.
It all culminates in a severe breakdown. The transition from survivor to victim is too much to bear.
One morning in the clinic, Jack wakes up and realizes Ma is gone.
But this time it's different.
It's not just a depressive episode. It's not just her staring at the wall. Jack notices empty pill bottles scattered on the nightstand.
It is an overdose. A desperate suicide attempt.
Jack, terrified, runs out into the sterile hospital hallway screaming for his favorite nurse, Noreen.
A code blue is called.
Doctors and nurses rush in, sirens wailing, and Ma is placed on a gurney and rushed away. Jack is left standing in the hallway, utterly, completely alone in the massive, terrifying expanse of the outside world.
It's his worst nightmare realized. The tether that anchored him to reality has snapped.
While Ma is recovering in a secure psychiatric facility, Jack is sent to live with Grandma and Stepa in their house, the one with the hammock in the backyard.
This section of the story is vital. because it's here that Jack has to truly learn how to exist without his mother filtering the world for him.
He has to build his own immune system, both biological and social.
He starts playing with other kids at a local playground.
And it is a steep learning curve. He has to navigate the incredibly complex, unwritten social rules of sharing toys, taking turns, and resolving conflicts without adult intervention.
Stuff he never had to do.
He explores Grandma's house, constantly making mistakes, dealing with Grandma's strict rules about what is a toilet brush and what is a hairbrush, because to him, a brush is just a brush.
He is slowly learning to assimilate. His vocabulary is expanding. His physical coordination is improving.
But fundamentally, he remains untethered.
He is realizing a profound psychological truth. To survive in this massive new world, he and his mother cannot simply run away from the shed and pretend it never happened.
He can't outrun trauma.
Exactly, they have to confront it.
Which leads to the final, incredibly powerful act of the story. When Ma is finally deemed stable enough to be released from the clinic, they move into a new, independent living apartment.
It's supposed to be a fresh start.
But Jack realizes something that the adults haven't grasped yet.
What's that?
The ghost of room is still haunting them. The trauma has grown larger and more powerful in their minds than the physical space ever was.
Jack insists that before they can truly move on and live in this new apartment, they have to go back.
They have to shrink the monster back down to size.
Ma is absolutely terrified of the idea. She never wants to see that place again.
But Jack is surprisingly authoritative here. He tells her, "I'm choosing for both of us."
Wow.
So, accompanied by Officer O for safety, they drive back to Old Nick's neighborhood. They walk through the backyard in the freezing rain, ducking under yellow police tape until they stand in front of the gray garden shed.
The courage it takes for both of them to walk back through that door is monumental.
And the scene inside is completely surreal. The police have stripped room of all its contents. It is gutted.
Nothing is left.
There is no rug. There is no bed. There is no egg snake hidden underneath. No labyrinth made of toilet paper rolls.
The walls are just bare cork tiles.
Dusted heavily with black fingerprinting powder left behind by the crime scene investigators. The magic is completely, utterly gone.
It feels tiny. It smells weird. It is entirely ordinary.
Jack looks around the empty space and he has this brilliant epiphany. He says, "It's not room if doors open."
That line is the emotional climax of the entire narrative.
Why is that realization so important?
Because he is defining the nature of their captivity.
Right.
Without the heavy steel security door locked shut by a monster, without the sheer crushing pressure of their isolation, without their shared imagination desperately filling every inch of the space with mythological significance just to survive.
It isn't room anymore.
It is just a dirty, empty garden shed.
He systematically walks around the small space and says goodbye to all the anthropomorphized elements that were his closest friends for 5 years.
He says, goodbye, bed.
Goodbye, roof.
Goodbye, room.
Notice what he is doing linguistically there.
He is stripping them of their proper noun.
He is revoking their capital letters. By saying goodbye to them as entities, he is returning them to just being inanimate objects.
It is an incredible, profound act of closure. He is taking back his power.
He is recognizing the space for what it truly was, untangling his and his mother's identities from the physical confines of their trauma.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we really have to ask the ultimate question. Why does this matter to us?
Why should you, the listener, sitting in your car or walking your dog right now, care so deeply about a fictional 5-year-old's escape from a garden shed?
Because Donoghue is doing something incredibly sneaky and profound with this novel. She is holding up a mirror to our own comfort zones.
Think about your own life right now. We all have our own versions of room.
They might not be physical prisons. They might be toxic relationships that we have completely normalized.
And they might be soul-crushing jobs that stifle our potential, or rigid mindsets and prejudices that we just refuse to challenge.
They're spaces that feel safe because they're familiar.
We convince ourselves that these small boxes are infinite universes, and we build elaborate mythologies to justify staying inside them.
We arrange our own toilet paper rolls and tell ourselves we are happy.
And we stay there, comfortably numb, until some massive external pressure forces us to look outside.
True growth always requires the painful unrolling of our own rugs. It requires stepping out of the dark into the glaring, uncomfortable, overwhelming light of reality.
We have to recognize our old sanctuaries for the limiting, restrictive sheds they truly were. We have to strip our fears of their mythological power before we can truly be free.
We have taken quite a journey today. We started in a microscopic 11 by 11 universe where a melted spoon was a cherished best friend.
We traveled through the terrifying, claustrophobic mechanics of a desperate escape inside a rolled-up rug.
And finally, we stepped out into the beautiful, chaotic, agonizing expanse of the outside world.
We've seen how a mother's lies can be the ultimate, purest act of love, and how a child's imagination can literally conquer a dungeon.
It has been a heavy, deeply moving exploration. But as we sign off today, I want to leave you with one final, lingering thought to mull over.
Consider the tragic, heartbreaking paradox of Ma's rescue.
What is the paradox?
For 7 long years, locked away in the freezing dark of that shed, she dreamed every single day of the world stopping to look for her.
She dreamed of her face on the news, of search parties, of being desperately missed and finally found.
But when she finally escaped, the ultimate trauma wasn't just the memory of the shed.
It was the outside.
Yes, it was the devastating realization that the world had kept right on spinning. The sun kept rising, people kept going to work, and society marched forward, completely indifferent to her absence.
The hardest part of her journey wasn't breaking out of the physical prison. It was the monumental, terrifying task of figuring out how to jump back onto a moving planet.
That is an incredibly powerful thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the extraordinary, harrowing world of Emma Donoghue's Room. We hope this conversation has given you a new perspective on resilience, perception, and the stories we tell ourselves to survive.
Until next time, take a look around your own spaces.
And keep questioning the boundaries of your own reality.